Hello and welcome back to the latest season of the Publisher Podcast from Media Voices. I'm Chris Sutcliffe, and in this podcast we always explore the people and products powering publishing, both through the podcast and the adjacent weekly newsletter which you can sign up for at voices.media. This episode is produced in partnership with the International Magazine Centre, who are putting on Magazine Street in Glasgow on the 3rd of October. Join more than 200 independent magazine people for an epic day of talks, workshops, chat and inspiration. You can book your tickets by going to internationalmagazinecentre.com and use the code MV75 for £75 off tickets. In this episode, Peter Houston interviews Irene Smit, who is the co-founder of Flow magazine. As you'll see from this episode's title, Irene's founding philosophy for the mag was that of paper over print. So what's the distinction? Well, for Irene, print is effectively a vector for information. It's commodity news or glossy lifestyle features or what have you. Basically, it's 99% of what's on newsstands. By contrast, paper, Irene believes, is an experience. And she tells Peter about what drove her to mix and match types of paper within the same magazine. It's a really interesting idea. She also tells us about how the magazine changed hands between publishing companies, what that taught her about the pros and cons of being an indie title supported by a larger operation, and how the magazine came out of the other side of those transitions all the stronger for it. So, take it away, Peter.
So the starting point then is to tell me about Flow and when you started it and why you started it and what's the story of Flow?
Yeah, well, I started it in 2008 already. Back then, I was working for a big publishing company, Sanoma Media in the Netherlands. And I was working for Marie Claire, this glossy magazine. And, well, everybody knows what glossies are about. It's all about more, bigger, better, fancy lives. And the idea that if you have all these products, you will be happy. All these designer items and these designer clothes. But in real life, I felt like, my life is never like in the magazine. And I was struggling with 2 little children. And I was sort of in a crisis with my husband. And I thought, there's a big gap between real life and this glossy life. Maybe there should be a magazine about real lives too. And it was also just before the banking crisis hit in 2008. So I wrote an article for the magazine about from expensive to authentic. That I said people want more authentic, meaningful products, presents. Why should people have the new designer bag where you can make sort of homemade apple pie and give that as a present? It's so much more meaningful. And I've sensed this feeling for a more authentic life. And I did a mindfulness course together with my colleague who also worked for Marie Claire, Astrid. And we both did this course and we said, whoa. So I did a mindfulness course together with my colleague Astrid van der Hulst, and we learned so many life lessons we never heard about, like how to deal with perfectionism and failure and anxieties. And this was more like the things we were dealing with all the time. So we said, maybe we should make a magazine about these life lessons, but instead of writing about this more bigger, better life all the time. And by that time, I also was friends with the new business manager of Sanoma Publishers. So I was talking to her and she said, we want to come up with a new concept, but we have sort of general overview, a magazine that should make you happy, but we don't really know how to, what should be the good approach. And I said, well, we have a great idea about the magazine with mindfulness lessons. And in the end, that makes you happy too, because it's all about acceptance and letting go, and a totally different message than what that was there in all the glossy magazines.
Yeah.
So she said, okay, well, come up with this concept, and okay, I will give you 1 week and 1 art director and 1 room, and at the end of the week, I want to see a dummy. And that's how it started. We went first, Astrid and I, we went to my attic and said, okay, we have this idea, but what can it look like? What kind of articles do we see? So we came up with the concept and then went into this room with this art director, and she really understood what we wanted to say and how we wanted it to be different. And we just thought, well, let's make a magazine we want to read with like poems and lots of paper presents and everything we liked ourselves, a little bit philosophy, a little bit mindfulness, illustrations. There were not so many illustrations in magazines back then. And yeah, we thought it should be about imperfect lives instead of perfect lives. And illustrations were always a little bit imperfect. So yeah, we just put in everything we thought people would want to read. And well, apparently people did want to read about those things. So now it's 17 years later and we are in 25 countries in 4 languages and with book contracts in the States and stationery. So yeah, I think we just were there at the right time with the right idea.
How long did it take you to move into another country before you started publishing elsewhere?
Yeah, it was funny because when we started, I think already immediately people found us on Schiphol or at the airport.
Oh, wow.
And people from abroad said, well, this is a nice magazine. I like the colors, I like the tactile feeling, the paper and the paper presence in there. But what is it about? I can't read it. So then we won after a year. We won a sort of introduction prize from our publisher, but we had the best new magazine in that year, and they gave us 5,000 euros as an award money. And we said, oh, let's make an English version. Let's try to translate it, because then maybe this international audience that is asking for it, we can try out how they like it. So we made one English issue and we sort of asked our neighbors to help us translate. It was totally not professional, but we just came up with one English issue and that sold very well. And then I think that was like already in 2009, and in 2010 we were approached by a German publisher asking for a license. And the year after that, a French publisher, so it went on and on. So that was funny that it's just by seeing us, and people saw it was different, and it felt different, of course, with all the papers and the paper presence in there.
So that you've just brought me to the thing that I want to talk about most, because I just wrote a report, the print revival. And we talk about these things about, print is back, blah, blah, blah. But actually, one of the things that you talk about isn't print, it's paper.
Yeah, that's true.
Flow, so for people that haven't seen Flow before, could you describe what's different about it in that sense?
Yeah, well, first of all, they have to go to the store to feel one, because the best way is to sniff and feel and all those things. But yeah, when we came up with the concept, we said, why should you use paper as only a product to print letters on? Yeah, you can do that, but there's so many things. And for us, paper was always a present. Everything we both were sort of fans of children's books. Children's books, they always have pop-ups and different papers and all those things, and you could put little present envelopes in there. And we said, when we started at my attic, we both brought a complete box with all kind of paper and paper goodies in it. So we said, maybe we can add them to the magazine and put notebooks in there. And it also came from the idea that it's a bit strange that you can buy a notebook or want to buy a notebook for like 15 or 20 euros or dollars, and there's nothing in it. And when the magazine is $10 or 10 euros, people think it's expensive. But we thought, why do you pay for this empty things and don't pay for a magazine? So we thought if you can combine it, the magazine in itself also makes you happy. It's a present, a paper present, and you get notebooks, stickers in every issue, since then we have 2 different paper presents, and it can be stickers, envelopes, writing paper, whatever you can make from paper. And then also the articles in itself, they are all divided in 3 sections, and every section has another paper. because that is the sort of philosophical message. If you are on the topics are smooth about beautiful lives and beautiful illustrations, things that make you happy, the paper is shiny, glossy, smooth. And when it's a bit more difficult articles about, like, for instance, perfectionism, or things can be a bit rough in your life, then the paper is also a bit rough and not so smooth. It's more fibers you feel. We call it papery paper. We always ask our distribution or paper people, like, can we have papery paper? Because we want to feel the fabric and the fibers. So, yeah, we thought you can give a sort of message and you feel like, okay, yeah, that's something more than just reading. The tactile feeling of paper shows you, okay, I'm in another section. This is about something else. This is a new section starting here. So all this together made Flow a present and a tactile experience, so much more than just printing letters on a paper thing, yeah.
And I think one of the things that's beautiful about it is the idea that you cannot do that any other way.
No.
So, we got digital and it's on our phones, or it's on a tablet, or it's on the computer screen. Yeah. And you can do all sorts of different things, but one of the things that you can't do is have those different kind of touch experiences.
Yeah. I think that's great, and also the way it smells. I think I'm a paper sniffer. I always say when a new magazine comes out, I want to sniff it. Or when I buy a notebook, how does it feel? I don't eat it, but there's so much to do with paper. And the funny thing that paper is always a present, and now more than ever. When you buy a book, or when you buy a new notebook, or you get a real newspaper on your doormat delivered, or when you get a real letter, I think everything nowadays that's from paper is sort of very worldwide and special, even more than when we started.
Do you think that one of the reasons that Flow was successful and is still successful is the idea that people miss that when they're only spending time on screens?
Yeah, I think especially nowadays we get a lot of millennials and Gen Z that they say, like, we miss this tactile experience. We're always on the screen, and they even ask us, like, I didn't know what to do when I'm not on a screen, but now I found out I can read a magazine, and your magazine perfectly fits that feeling that I want to be offline. And if you read something that you can also read on the screen, it's not so interesting sometimes. And then, that you can have this tactile experience. And we see a lot of people, we are joining forces also this year with the Offline Club that organizes offline experiences, and they attract all these young people that say, like, I don't want to be all my life online on a screen. What's happening with my life? And they want to take back their attention. They want tactile experiences, real life experiences. So that's where Flow comes in. Yeah.
So it's not just old people like me that like paper.
No. Well, we have a very broad audience. It's like, from 18 till 60, 70, whatever. It's strange, but we have a lot of interns, and they are studying media, whatever, and they come to us and say, oh, great, can I be your intern? And then I always ask them, how do you know Flow? And often they say, my mother always had it, but she gave me all the notebooks or the stickers. And we have this, once a year we make this big book for paper lovers. It's a magazine without articles. It only has paper in it, with all kinds of papers and illustrations. And often younger people get them on a birthday or a Christmas present, because also the parents like them to do offline things, and they also like it themselves, all these funny things that are in there. So we have this big audience of different kind of people that want to read the magazine. And we talked about the young girls. I said, but do you like the articles? They might not be specifically for you interesting, but they say, we like the colors, and we can use it to make collage or mood boards or vision boards or journaling. And maybe they don't read it, but they do like the feeling.
It's interesting because we talk so much about niche or specialist magazines. And Flow's different in that sense because it's actually the physical magazine that's different rather than the subject matter.
Yeah.
I mean, people can be into mindfulness or they can be into, not perfection or whatever it is, or authenticity. But it's actually the magazine and owning the magazine that's a niche, which is a really interesting twist.
Yeah, and it was also interesting when I found out that when you only take the message from the magazine, the psychological message about you're okay and don't be so hard on yourself and try to have a sort of mindful way of living. You can transfer that to online also. We have this website where people read the articles. They also like it there. And they still like the message, so you don't always have to add paper or so. Yeah, it works both ways. If you leave out the paper goodies, you have another audience, and you can have sort of more the readers that want to read maybe the topics we write about. But there's this big audience that also wants more the tactile experience.
So you're speaking at Magazine Street in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Which is obviously my favourite Scottish city because I come from near there.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've never been there in Glasgow.
You'll love it. It's great. The weather will be rubbish, but
that's fine.
But it's a nice place.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about at Magazine Street? What's your presentation about?
But is everybody listening to this podcast, and then I can't say what I'm talking about? No.
You can't give away the secret. Okay, just give me the headlines. Give me the headlines.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I will also tell people about our struggle, because sometimes it feels like a fairy tale, and we were never a real indie magazine. I was always part of a big publishing company. So that felt sometimes like, maybe we did something wrong. Maybe we should have kept this concept to ourselves and sell it. But, we always thought it was a big advantage to be part of a big publishing company, because then we could focus on the creative part. So I want to tell a bit more about how we arranged everything, but also the very difficult times we also had during COVID, because then other people make decisions about my magazine, and we felt like, what's happening here? And we felt like, we should have owned it ourselves, or how can we change that? But there was even time we thought about buying it back, but that was not possible. We needed too much money for that. But in the end, I think working for a big publishing company is was for Flow very good, and it helped us to create a worldwide audience, and the company pays for it, so that's always a great thing, of course.
Always good.
But sometimes also hard. So be depending on what the company wants. So
you started with Sonoma.
Yeah.
And then now you're with Rolata?
Yeah, there was.
Was there anything in between, or is that the two?
There was a step. We started at Sonoma, and then just before COVID, Sonoma was taken over by DPG Media. They bought all the magazines, and DPG Media was mostly a newspaper organization. So they were very big, and they said, okay, we want to focus on the big brands, and we want to make it all clear and structured. But Flow was never clear or structured. It was sort of messy and difficult, and we had an international website and distribution, and everything was different, licenses, and it was, and they said, okay, this is not working because we want to do it all in one way, and if you want the other way, that doesn't fit really. So it was a little bit a struggle to find our way in DPG Media, and then COVID came, and we had a lot of troubles with international distribution. And so they shut down a lot of things, like our English web shop and English customer service. And yeah, we were sad about it because people kept asking for Flow from all over the world. They kept sending us messages. Some were even angry at us, like, why do you keep making a Dutch magazine? Just make an English issue. Oh yeah, we started making the English issue ourselves in our office in Amsterdam with the help of translators. And so that we always made it ourselves and distributed it worldwide. I think we started in 4 years or 3 years after we started up Flow. So yeah, now we suddenly couldn't make it anymore, and so that was DPG Media. And then in 2023, at the end of 2023, we were sold to Bulata Media, because I think the publisher at DPG saw like, okay, this is a great magazine, but not in this big company. So they sold us to a smaller publishing house, and that was very attractive for us because here is so much more possible for a smaller brand to do it different than the rest, and there are more people helping us. And I think the first day I came in, I said, can I bring back the English issue, please? And I kept saying that in every meeting I joined for about 3 months. And then I said, okay, go do that. Bring back your English edition if you feel that's interesting. So that's great here. That there's so much freedom, and we have our own printing company in Belgium. That's also helpful. So and this being in a smaller publishing house is really good for Flow, I think.
I remember seeing the social media reaction when the English language issue came back again. People got so excited. They were like, they were posting pictures of it on the shelves in W.H. Smith, which is interesting because Flow's probably outlasted W.H. Smith in the UK. But it was really interesting to see people getting so excited about it.
I also thought it was so special that even 3 years after we stopped, people still kept asking, like, bring back the English issue. But I think, in that sense, Instagram was very helpful. I will also talk about that on Magazine Street, because people kept seeing us. They were following us there, and they saw this new Dutch editions coming, or they saw the book for paper lovers and the new edition coming, and they said, I want it too. Where can I buy it? And we couldn't even offer it to them. There was no shop where they could buy it. So it was a sort of rare product, and we didn't do it on purpose, but people were even more, I want this, please, can someone send it to the US or Australia, or what can I do to get it, or where can I find it? So people were sort of getting desperate to buy it, but we couldn't help them, and that maybe also made it a bit mythological. How do you say it? Magazine like this. Everybody wants it, but you can't buy it.
The scarcity factor.
Yeah.
But now you're with Relata, and Relata's obviously supporting the English language edition. They've also got an online store.
Yes, we have an online store. Yeah, but that's still not so working as I want, because it is a lot of work to have an online store. You have a lot of some countries it's too expensive to ship it to. If it never arrives, how can you arrange that? You need an English customer care department. This is a small company, so it's not always very easy to organize all those things. So we just did a sort of try out. We made 2 issues last year, and now we are organizing it better. And we have our international distributor. He will also try to get more international sales points, not physical, but also online shops. And Workman Publishers, where we have a contract deal with in the US, they're part of the Hachette Book Group now. They bought our book for paper lovers and distribute it in more online shops. So slowly we are growing to make it better. But all those business things, they keep me from my creative part.
Well, I was going to ask you, is it better being part of a bigger organization because of those kind of things? So someone can take care of licensing, or someone else can take care of distribution?
Yeah, I think especially for Flow, it would have been so hard to do everything by ourselves. Like in the beginning, with all these different kind of papers, and yeah, there was a lot of investment. Of course, it's expensive to make, so you need a lot of investment money to be in the stores, visible, and yeah, we were happy that we had a production department and people that could negotiate contract deals and paper deals. And I think that worked very well. And especially in the first years, we totally focused on the creative part. We just came up with things, and there was some department, whatever, who organized that. And now, yeah, of course, our teams are also getting smaller. It's harder. We have to work harder or find ways to survive in this more digital world. But still, I'm maybe a bit less. I can do less funny things, but it's also good, to come up with ideas that are not too much work for all the people in the organization, but are still real flowish. We can make paper products and paper goodies, and there are people that help us with that, but it takes also a bit more of my time. The days that I was only creative are a bit over, but now I try to struggle between the commercial side and the creative side.
That's the problem with being successful, right? You got more work to do.
Yeah.
So if there's an independent publisher out there who's thinking, oh, I have this brilliant idea, would you say to them, well, maybe you should talk to a bigger publisher about it? Because
yeah, I think so. It helps you a lot. But maybe, there will be all these independent publishers. Maybe they can tell me how they did it. I always felt like I don't want to be in this. I told you at the beginning I was in messy problems with my husband, and I was just getting a divorce. So I was happy I had a salary and not too much financial worries. So it helps to sort of, not being responsible for every part, production, paper, contracts, licenses. I think it's a good idea. If you can find a publisher, do that, because if you want to do it all, to me it sounds like very difficult. I think everybody that starts a magazine wants to spend their time on the creative process and not on all the other processes.
Selling advertising or subscriptions.
Yes, and also, of course, in a publishing firm, you also have to do sort of these things or talk to people that do that, but you don't have to do it all by yourself, and I think that's very helpful.
I think it's interesting because 5 years ago, when the independent magazine scene was, it's been going for 10, 15 years, that. But 5 years ago, when people really started to pay attention to it, it was that passion project idea. Now I think there's so much more renewed interest in print that maybe some of the bigger publishers will actually start looking for some of these indie titles, whether to start their own things or whether to pick other people's up.
Yeah, I think at Good Media, I'm happy that they're interested in buying magazines. They try to look for magazines that are still doing well or are a good asset to have in this portfolio. And also with the online course, if you want to have, like, Good has a great app where the magazines are in, and if you want to grow online, you also need content from a lot of different magazines and interesting content. So I think there is a sort of maybe the revival of print. It will go on, because especially in this company, they are interested in buying magazines that have interesting topics that they don't have yet, also to make their app more interesting.
Yeah, definitely. What's the secret of good print then? What do you think is the secret?
Print. I think the tactile feeling, that's what the secret of print is, and especially in this digital age, and with all the stimuli that are coming your way all the time, especially when you're on your phone, you just scroll and go back and forth. I do that myself. It's such a different feeling than spending an hour with tea and chocolate on the couch with a magazine. That's the best feeling. And it does so much more. You have the smell and the taste, and it's all together, all your senses you use, and I think that's the secret of print. And that's also why it will never go away. You had this great talk also about that you can't compare it to vinyl and albums because they were gone and print was never really gone. But I still believe that, there will be this revival of print will be more and more, especially for the younger generations. They just want to do something with their hands and feel something real. And don't want to listen to influencers all the time. It's pop rubbish.
So it's the mindfulness of magazines is the secret.
Yeah. The mindful companion you can. I think a magazine is a mindful companion that helps you in your life, and it's a trustworthy, authentic product that has a great feeling for a lot of people.
Irene, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to Irene for speaking to us. She will be speaking again at Magazine Street in a few short weeks' time on the 3rd of October. If you want to be there, use the code MV75 for £75 off tickets, which you can book at internationalmagazinecentre.com. Don't forget that we have a write-up of all the key learnings from this interview on voices.media, or it gets dropped in your inbox every Tuesday if you sign up to the publisher newsletter, also on voices.media. That's convenience itself. We're going to be back next week with another dive into the people and products powering publishing's future. But until then, you can keep up with all things Media Voices by following us on LinkedIn and subscribing to the publisher newsletter over on voices.media. But until then, thank you so much for listening and goodbye.